Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's weekly reading. I'm using some Zengest to help in the terms of digesting, and I think that's really a lot of what's going on now as we have this Saturn Uranus square kind of really doing its last eking out of the lessons that it's been here to bring us. And this is also our last week of Libra season. So choose your number between 1 and 4. So we can move on to looking at the cards. But this week has got a few things. We've got Saturn turning direct at the end of the week at the same time that Venus is conjoining the Sun. She's in the heart of the Sun. So this energy can be quite potent. And then add to that, we have Mars getting to the last degree at which he will station. So he's stuck at that degree point, 25 Gemini. And we have today on the 17th, happy birthday to my sister, on the 17th of October, we have Mercury coming out of his shadow. So there's quite a lot going on, and let's jump into what the cards tell us. So here's a little look of the full weekly ensemble, and we begin and end this week with a major arcana card, and actually the 6th card, the Lovers, is the card for the year because numerologically 2022 is a 6 year. So you just add those numbers, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 2, until you reduce it down. Now, the Lovers card as the anchor card for this week and the only upright card of this week, and in Libra season, the last week of Libra season, with Venus, who is the planet who rules Libra and all about love and relationships, right there nestled with the Sun, is giving us this opportunity to take this last week and really digest and process and assimilate and get authentic with where we are within our relationships. What role are we playing? What role do other people play for us? And what do we want to change in that space? Because the next set of cards is really talking to something ending and something beginning. And we really want to find a sense of balance and better relationships. And as I say, because this year is themed into the Lovers card, and the Uranus-Saturn opposition, the old versus new, is really, really pushing us to do just that, to repurpose our relationships in so many ways. What purpose did they serve, and what purposes did we want them to serve and they didn't, and how do we move forward from here, and what can we carry on with and what can we not carry on with? And this becomes ever more potent when we look at the next few cards, because the 9 of Swords is very much a card of, let me just turn it around so you can see it in its upright, of tapping into the fear. It is a 9, which means it's coming to the end of a journey. So for me, there's a lot of self-sacrificing, a lot of what are the fears, what are the nightmares, what is this that my life has become, coming especially from a headspace where we're getting into that analysis paralysis of woe is me and I can't do this anymore. And as I say, it's near the end of the journey because it's 9 preceding the final one, which is 10. So this is like, what breaking point am I at in the way that I've been thinking about things, the way that I've been speaking about things, especially within the context of my relationships? And what am I going to do about it? Am I just going to stay asleep in this nightmare, or am I going to wake myself up and do something different? The choice is mine. And I think that's really important. There is a bit of a resistance to waking up. There is almost, because it's upside down. So there is that sort of victim aspect, like stuck in the nightmare. And there's a need to decide. Now, Libra is not the best on being decisive, traditionally speaking. So don't take that personally, Libras. But Libra energy in general struggles to make decisions. And I feel like these two cards are kind of speaking to that, because this card in its protection, it's the 5 of Wands. And in some ways, I actually prefer this card upside down. But it is a very competitive, driven kind of card. Upside down, it's like, where are you avoid? Well, it can be. And I feel, actually, based on the rest of the reading, that this is the primary indicator of this card in this week's reading. It can be, where am I self-sacrificing to the point of avoiding conflict. Like, where do I avoid conflict at all costs for the sake of peace and love, which is, again, very Libra. So I'm struggling to make my decisions. I'm struggling to wake up from this nightmare. I am sacrificing my own needs in order to avoid uncomfortable situations or conversations, usually with that Libra archetype. And remember, that's even if you don't have Libra in your chart, it's Libra season. So we're all dealing with these themes. Especially in those senses of, I just want everybody to be happy to the point that I don't even know what will make me happy because I've been so busy focusing outside of myself instead of inside of myself. And now I just actually don't even know what I want or need, which I think is playing into our final card, the Fool, which has come up in protection, which is a certain naivety, a certain resistance to growth. Partially, we can also sometimes in this card in protection, we think we know everything already, so there's no need to begin a new journey because this is the beginning of a new journey. It's the 0 card. And so this is saying it's time to trust that, yes, we have some tools. You can see she has her staff and her crystal, but we have to learn how to use them. And we are always in multiple spaces in multiple journeys. So some journeys are beginning, some journeys are ending, some journeys have already begun, some are midway, some are nearing the end. That's just how life is. But there is something, and again, we come back to our anchor card of the Lovers, there is something very much within relationships in general that this reading is speaking to. And again, I mean, the Zen Jest coming up for this reading, the crystals I choose, the sense of balance, you know, that's all intuitive. So we need to metabolize our relationships as they've been, where we've been getting stuck in the negative aspects of that, the fear, the overwhelm, the refusal to wake up from the nightmare and fight for what we want, fight for what we believe, stand up for ourselves within the relationship. Now, if you are the person who is more clear on what you want within a relationship, more assertive, more well-boundaried, the person who tends to wear the pants in the relationship and make the decisions, then you need to maybe go and look at what is that, the impact of that to the person in relationship with me. How do I encourage that person to actually tell me how they feel, not just go along with everything I say? How do I encourage them to fight for what they believe in? And I mean, if you're in a relationship with somebody, whether that's relationship as lovers or friends or parent-child relationship or siblings or whatever the relationship, if you're in relation, even in with colleagues, like a healthy relationship means that both sides of that relationship want the best for the other person. So if you are extremely strong and assertive and in control within the relationship and you haven't noticed that the other person is unhappy, then once you do notice, once you're awake with that, what can you do to give them the space to become more even within the relationship? If you're the person who is swallowing your voice, swallowing your needs continually, then what is it that you need to do to stand up and say, hey, I need you to hear me, I need you to see me within the relationship? And then again, I would say there is the stronger person within relationships. So figure out where that is you, and you might find you're that one in some relationships and you're the other one in other relationships. But when you're the strong, domineering aspect of a relationship, then you might find the resistance in this card is coming from, I don't need to know more, I already know what I know. And then you've got that kind of like, you're standing on your, the word has just gone out of, on your pedestal. Oh my goodness, I use that analogy all the time and it just went out of my head. That must be Mercury coming out of shadow. Just one last little final push there. Anyway, you're on your pedestal and you don't feel like you need to fall into the abyss and learn something new. If you're the person who is constantly giving over to other people within relationship, then this card is more coming up to you with a naivety that somehow everything will just turn out fine without you actually stepping up, stepping in. So figuring out where that is you, in which relationship, and recognizing that we each have something to reflect within a relationship. There's no one is the goodie and one is the baddie. It's a it's a give and take. And whatever you are seeing reflected in the outside world within your relationships, that's why relationships are so important for us, because they reflect to us the lessons we need to learn. They either teach us to step up and step in, or they teach us to back off and listen to somebody else, or we see ourselves or parts of ourselves that are very overt, expressed outside of ourselves in relationship, or we see parts of ourselves that are very covert, expressed outside of ourselves within our relationships. So we've got one more week to really use this energy, and especially with that Venus Cazimi, the sun. This is powerful. If you are wanting to reprogram and repattern your relationships, the ones you're in and the ones that will be, then this is a really worthwhile time to maybe do some journaling on the whole thing and just see, who am I within relationship? What aspects of that do I love that I am? And what aspects do I not? Which ones have gotten me into trouble? And which ones have really fueled? So, pregnant pause as we feel into the power of relationships, coming towards the end of our lover's year. And next year is going to be pretty fast paced. We shift into a 7-year. So take some time. Thank you for watching. Remember that I do private readings, and you can get in touch with me on all my social media platforms. There's a link below this video, and I would love to be part of your journey and support. Thanks very much.